Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. A very warm good evening to all. It's my pleasure to welcome all the participants for today's session titled by Trends in Robotics, organized by the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering in association with the IEEE Student Branch, IEEE Women in Engineering Student Branch Affinity Group, and IEEE Robotics and Automation Society Student Branch Chapter of Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology. The session is going to be handled by Ms. Adira Krishnan R, Treasurer and Joint Secretary of RAS Kerala section. And she is a system engineer in TCS Rapid Labs, TCS Research and Innovation. A few words about Adira ma'am. She completed her BTech in Electronics and Communication from Marbaseless College of Engineering, Trivandrum, and MTech in Robotics and Automation from College of Engineering, Trivandrum. She worked as a robotics software engineer in Asimov Robotics Kochi, and she's currently working as a system engineer in TCS. Her publications are the path planning of an autonomous quadcopter-based delivery system, self-supervised learning of robot manipulation, and experimental validation of findings using BCI in autistic kids. She got Academic Excellence Award from CET in 2018 and Marbaseless College of Engineering in 2016 and TCS Leader with Integrity Lyral Award in 2019. In 2020, she got TCS Special Initiative Award and TCS On the Spot Award. I welcome Adira ma'am for today's session and also I welcome all the participants for the session. Participants, please mute your mic and turn off your cameras. In case of any queries, you can put it in the chat box or ask at the end of the session. The feedback link will be posted in the chat box after the session. Please fill the form for your certificate. Once again, I welcome you all. Adra ma'am, it's all yours.
Oh, that's a great introduction. Thank you. So, good evening, all, and thanks Ahalya College for organizing web series. Nowadays, it's something a very important thing to have something like a cope-up activity to merge the gap between the industrial expectations and something like a educational platform. How like especially since we don't have the direct contact, like children are like students are actually not coming to colleges due to this COVID pandemic. Like there are so many issues that we are facing. So I hope everyone is staying healthy and everyone is fine. So let's start. Hi all. So to our topic for the day, that's it. The trends in robotics. So let's present my screen. If you are not able to see my screen, please let me know now itself. Okay. And I request everyone to just be free to interrupt in between and just ask when and where you want to get more clarification so that we can have something like a friendly talk. Just being like a lecturing kind of a thing, I don't think it will be much more like beneficial. So, and one more thing, anyone here who doesn't understand English, like even though our in like person who has given the introduction told everyone to mute the mic, I am requesting to interact freely. Like if anyone is not able to communicate or understand Malayalam, I won't be speaking completely in Malayalam. Maybe in some scenario, if I feel a better explanation can be from Malayalam because like it's something like a tongue language, right? So maybe in case of any issues, like please stop me in between. Okay, so let's start. So trends in robotics. So robotics is something like emerging field. Of course, it's something like an emerging field, and it had been like emerging over like last any area in engineering. It's like a building from last 50 years, I would say. Like robotics has been, but it was not in the state. The current state of art, like the state of art scenario, is very different. So, how it has emerged, what is the current expectation, what is actually happening in robotics, and before all that, what is actually a robot, what is a robotics, everything we need to see. So, let's start the robotics. So, let me say what is a robot. A robot can be considered as something like mechatronic kind of a actuated product that is capable of repeating the task without any issues for a number of times with that precision, with that accuracy and all. So the problem is that some minds may be having a query like, then what is the difference between a mechatronic device and a robot? Like, sure, there are so many differences between a mechatronic device and a robot. A robot is something like a general purpose, it's planned for a particular environment. It is particularly done to replace a particular person. It is often referred to as a forced labor. It is not just mechatronic, it also includes something like an AI aspect. So there are so many aspects that we build on top of the robotics robot, on top of a robot. So in simple language, we can say that a robot is nothing else but a forced laborer, or a kind of we can call it as a forced laborer. You make a forced laborer to get your task done quickly. It's not like for anything and everything you can make a robot. It should not be like that. It is actually expected to be when we are facing a difficulty in getting a job done, especially where considering a job where people are having some kind of a hazard, say nuclear power plant. Yes, it is very sensitive, but still, when the robot is capable of doing that particular job with that efficiency, you can trust and keep there a person and a robot, maybe a co-living environment. That is also currently happening in many workplaces, and even in warehouses. I don't know how many of you have seen the people picking up chocolates. I think like everyone would have seen an ad of a peanut falling through the conveyor, and a person is just counting the number of peanuts that is coming on the way. I think it's some 5-star or some ad like that we see in our like TV and all. So you can imagine if a person is actually sitting there to count it, you can imagine how difficult his life would be. Like after 1 hour, he will be like getting mad, slowly getting mad without himself knowing about the scenario. So this can be a 1 second. Am I audible? Any problem?
No, good audible, madam. Very good audible. Yeah.
Okay. And just like since I'm not getting any response back, I'm just confirming. Okay, thank you. So what else is like? What is the difference between a person and a robot in a workspace? Like we are currently implementing so many robots into warehouses, even from Tata aspect as well as from, if you go and go to some YouTube and search for something like a warehouse implementation of robots, like you can see so many warehouses getting turned into. Like the most prominent or the most heart-touching would be the most popular one, Amazon. Amazon warehouses are completely replaced. I would say like very few humans they do have in the work line. So if you want to see, like I prefer you going to after watching that video, maybe after the talk, just go to YouTube and search for something like Amazon warehouse automation. Just take a 5 minutes. It might take 5 minutes for you. I don't know, like based on the curiosity, it might increase also. So how it is implemented, it's just a magic. So everything is something like robot is mainly implemented to make a work that needs to be done in a repetitive manner with that high precision, with that accuracy. But if it is a robot, like it need not be a workable environment. Like it can be even oversat. There may not be a AC. There may not be a ventilation. Yes, of course, there need to be some kind of minimal aspects for the electronic components that we place in it. But still, like it may not be that luxurious. Like placing by like appointing a person instead of it. Maybe he is getting like tired after 5 hours of work. Like he will take 2 hours of break. Saturdays, Sundays, he won't work. So when we are thinking from automation perspective, robots comes into action. So this is where we see robots. And this actually this is not currently not the scenario where we see robots. Like there are so many areas where we apply robotics to. So we'll see all those things in the go. So what is robotics? So the study of robots or making of robots, everything is implemented in robotics. Robotics is that kind of an interdisciplinary course. You can think of a GEMS packet. You have everything and all the colors in it. It's something like that. It's nothing like a specific branch kind of a subject. It's something like an interdisciplinary kind of thing where everyone has their own contributions to it. Maybe you are an ECE engineer, you are a mechanical engineer, you are an electrical engineer, you could be even from CS. So anything, wherever you are, whichever background you are from, you have a space in robotics and automation. So this is what I have about robotics. And if you see like what is the difference between like what we have done, like what we are currently is like the robot have like as electronics, the field of electronics improve. What happens? We have so much of sensors, we have so much of packages, so much of tools that are available up to date. So what we have is like we can just plug in instead of lots of wiring and all, we can just have that ready-made handy kits and sensors that are very good in sensing the obstacles around it and making the system more, like more sensible towards the environment. So today it has so much of sensors like touch can be implemented, even like vision can be implemented, voice can be implemented, and heat can be like temperature sensing can be implemented, like pressure sensing can be implemented. There are so many sensing, like all this comes from ECE background. Like ECE engineers, they contribute to these kind of activities. And how a robot looks, the structural aspect, it comes from a person who is from mechanical area. Like he can select the best material, that stiff material, which is of high durability, good quality, and that can be like the required, like that will just meet the requirement kind of a material. It should not be that costly. It should be the right, it should fall in the correct budget. Even if it's something like a very good robot, if it's something around 1 crore, 2 crore, being a human being, like let's be all commoners and think, will we buy such a kind of a robot and keep it in our house? No. So everything should be budget friendly overall. Like on top of everything comes the budget. So, and it should have all the all the performance kind of a criteria. That's what we like. Even if we are going to buy something, we will always look for something like it should be budget friendly and it should have all the kind of features to so that it can attract the people to it. It's something like that. So then about robots, like even advancement from the computer science area, I would say the AI aspects, machine learning aspects, deep learning contributions, even the image processing from the EC, like it's something like a mixed, I would say, like even CS people own, like even EC people own. It's something like mixed apart, that computer vision. So that computer vision also is helping our robots to make so much of decisions and make itself independent to make the decisions and move ahead in cases of ambiguity, like a person. So let's see around us what we have around us. The first robot, I hope many of you would be. This is something like a recent contribution from CET. I have kept it here purposefully because, like, it's not done by any professional. It's done by a engineering student. Yes, it's done by a mechanic, like MTech graduate, but she's no more experienced than anyone here. Like, she was able to contribute to our society for dispensing purposes and just monitoring who is coming in and out. It is currently in Trivandrum Medical College. It's deployed and it was done from robotics and automation MTech batch last year. So this it doesn't mean that it is not possible to anyone else here. Like anyone can do that. Maybe like if you are coming from a BTech batch, it may not be a single person's project. It can be something like a group work, but it's something like a motivation. I kept it here because like you can also think of something like contributing to the society for the right cause. But hopefully, like many will be having such a kind of a question. Even when I propose a project something like towards COVID line, everyone will be coming up with something like a suggestion. Oh, everyone was walking towards this side and no one is coming to the end. So why we are getting into it? This is the most common question that I hear multiple times. I would have heard this, but I say like, why don't we take that delta x? Let it be a delta x or let it be a x. Let's start off and then say like whether we are, let's see, then after that, let's see whether we are able to reach it or not. It's a second part. Anything is like, I consider everything to be something like a study, or it's like again study only. There's nothing like a failure in anything. Like just go on and learn and learn. So maybe like this is something like a student activity that was done a year back. And this is something like a telepresence robot. Telepresence robot, I don't know whether everyone are aware of it. It is mostly used in IT professional, like in the IT industry and all. Especially when they are not, the person who is intended to be is not currently available in that particular scenario. Like they used to attend the meetings through telepresence robots. So in an office, in a conference room, they might have a telepresence robot, and he will be like addressing the scenario. Here I have kept the scenario as not a IT industry kind of a scenario. I have kept it as medical industry to show that it is even extending to medical aspects, so that like that kind of what do you say, confidence that people are having to that kind of a technology that is currently like we are having it. So through even telepresence robot, like teleconferencing and all, this robot is able to move and get the screen to wherever the person is intended to be or not. So this kind of a robot can help the like doctors to attend the like emergency scenarios, give some kind of consultation, and they are even able to see what is the current scenario and give some suggestions, give some medical advices. So this is very like beneficial in this today's world. Next is something like a drone. I have just kept it something like a photography kind of a drone. But drones are like, they are playing what do you say, a numerous category of jobs these days. Like even policing, like patrolling kind of activities, even though it was started off by Dubai police, like currently it is being taken up by Indian government also. KP Bot, AI Dome, these are few of the robots that are undertaken by like robotics projects that are undertaken by Kerala police itself. So I don't know, like everyone is aware of it or not. Like this is like a few robots that are taken by Kerala police, and Tamil Nadu, our nearby state, they do also have something like a rodeo robot. So all these are there. These are like even drones are being used for harvesting, watering of the large fields, as people are not able to get there and do the watering kind of an activity. Yes, watering cannot be done by a robot that has a payload of something like a 500 gram. I say yes, it can be done. It's not the small drone for that particular purpose. For there, we need to have something like a huge drone, and where it can hold some quantity of water, and it can sprinkle from on top in a particular fashion, so that the complete area can be covered with a very good kind of planning aspect, so that minimum water, minimum time, that kind of an like approach they can calculate over there. And then coming to drones, like the most common place where we see drones, whenever we say a drone, the first image that comes to our mind is something like marriages. Of course, the photography perspective, they are flying here and there, we just get some kind of wind over us. This is the kind of thing that we see around for the drones, and that's something like a very accepted thing, but it do have so many other problems too, especially regarding the security and our what do you say, our personal life can be even be affected. Like there can be some inculcations or some intrudings into it. So like there are some problems regarding it, because of which like due to the security incidents, government has made some rules in implementing drones and getting them into market. Next is something like underwater robots. Why we are just in land and air? There are robots in underwater also, but it's not that easy. Like as we say, like underwater, like there are so many robot models available. Something like fish-like robot, something like a whale-like robot, something that can even mimic like mimetic kind of a robots. Like it can take that fish kind of a movement. It can replicate and move through the water, so that it can go into the places where the actually the fishes hibernate and see like how they are like this. These all are actually implemented for the study purposes. And this is actually something like implemented for mining kind of an activity under the sea. Like this robot will go and see which all areas are there, and if a robot can capture the images, and that can be accessed by people around like in the land. That's it. So these are something like what we see around us. This is just a glimpse. I am not saying that this is the only thing. Next, let's see like what is industrial robotics. Yes, we also make, being a student, we see so much of projects coming around us. All these also contribute to robotics. But there is a big bridge. We always see it. The people who studies in college are not ready for the industrial projects. There is a bridge, and there is a gap. To bridge that gap, we need to also know what is industrial robotics. It's not that different, like it is also robotics only. But the difference is that there will be, being in an industrial environment, deploying it will have so much of security concerns to be taken up. There will be so much of emergency concerns, like there will be space limitations, because like there will be people working with the robot. So like it can't be just implemented there, and once it goes wrong, then getting into that error and solving it. That kind of an approach won't work in an industrial environment, because like if anything happens, like all the blame comes to the organization. And we are replacing n number of people and implementing a robot for saying that this like man cost can be, like they can make some kind of a benefit out of when they compute this man cost and man hours and all. So when you say that, there should be that efficiency in the robot to complete the task in the proper way, in the most efficient way, in the right time. So this is what we see, especially from industrial aspect. There, what do you say? Like mostly the activities are something like a palletizing, something like a stacking, pick and place kind of an activity. There can be so much even what you say, the testing of a product, seeing whether the product has filled to the right amount, the conveyor kind of a system. There are also so many assembly kind of robots. Like mostly it will be something like hand kind of a robot structure. And for hand-like robots, we give the name as manipulators. For your information, if there is someone who is not knowing, because I might say again as something like manipulator, and you might go wrong, like, oh, what is manipulator? This girl is coming and saying like, oh, manipulator. So let me say, manipulator is nothing like a hand kind of a robot. It might have so much degree of freedom. And about degree of freedom is something like about how many axes the robot can move. So degree of freedom is something like about how many axes the robot can move to complete the action. So mainly robotic hands have something like a rotational movements, something like a translation, the straight line kind of a movement. It can, so they're like this combination, the rotation and the straight line, that's the prismatic, the fixed joints. All these joints, through implementing different kind of combinations of joints, we get a complete robot structure, and counting all these movements that is available to a robot, we get the DOF of the robot. Mostly a robotic manipulator that we see in industrial category also have maximum of 7 DOF. Like if it is not so, if it is greater, it is something like meant for that particular to the specific purpose. Other than that, like we won't build something like more than 7 DOF. 7 DOF is something like very good. It is very capable of so much of task, that kind of a arm. Then I would say industrial robotics, like even I also got a chance to work something like for a warehouse robot for Tata. There, like we were it was meant for carrying the load of something like a payload of 1000 kg. And it was like and stacking in the right place. And this is something like what I have from the industrial robotics. Now let's see what we have as the dominant robotic projects that are done over the world. And then we'll come down and see what is the trends that we have. Like let's see what is the trend in humanoid. That's Sophia. Sophia is not just a humanoid robot. Don't expect everything and anything from Sophia. Sophia is something like a feminine, like a touch kind of a robot. It has two different kind of movement. Here in this video, I have kept something like wheeled kind of a navigation. I hope you are able to see the video. Here you can see like it's moving very smoothly, right? Because like it's moving on wheels. But Sophia also has something like a movement with biped locomotion. But the problem is that like getting that balance in all the circumstances is a difficult kind of a scenario. So they gave a choice of people to check and use based on the space where they are implementing it. And regarding Sophia, there are so many research kind of hello. Okay. So it is actually something like 74 BOF robot.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
actually, I'm hearing something in between. I don't know. Okay, if you have any questions, please talk in between. Okay, just like no issues. Don't keep in the chat and all because like I am not seeing the chat box currently. Maybe at the last we'll come to the chat box to get the doubts and all cleared. So from Hansen, we have something like a SDK, AI-based SDK available, which can be like if you are a MTech graduate and if you want to pursue something like a PhD, or if you are that good from the BTech itself and you want to do something from the robotic perspective in your project, then it's something like Hansen has something like a SDK allowing AI-based perception, then NLP algorithms, and even with low level of sensory and actuations. Then I don't know whether you are aware of something like a ROS kind of a platform. ROS is something like robotic operating system, and it's something like dedicatedly used by many of the it's not like many, it's something like majority of the robotics projects that are being developed all over. So and like Sophia also can be completely programmed using ROS and ROS Kinetic. Specifically, if I say the version, it is ROS Kinetic that is used for the development. So that is about Sophia. Okay, now let's see Atlas. Atlas is nothing but, okay, 1 second, I'll just pause. Let me say about Atlas something. Atlas is something like a humanoid robot that was developed by Boston Dynamics, and it's a biped kind of a robotic project. It was started as something like a rescue and search kind of an operation for automation kind of a perspective, but today it is something to be something like a what do you say, the peak or the best example that we are having in our world itself, like to showcase as something like a humanoid robot. And it uses something like a hydraulic actuation, because of which like it has that capability. I don't know whether all are about knowing about the actuation. Actuation is like how it is getting powered. Powering can be done either electrically, or it can be done something like pneumatically through air kind of pumping, or it can be even through hydraulic kind of an actuation. So here we use hydraulic kind of an actuation, so more power it is getting, which is actually used. And mostly when we think of, normally hydraulic systems are like very huge, but here they have used something like a very compact form of hydraulic actuation, because of which it is able to have that small human kind of figurine. And it has something like about 28 joints for the entire humanoid kind of a structure. And at any point of time, it is able to plan a motion with any of the joints. That is actually the importance, I would say. Like if you try stopping its a particular joint, then it will try to make use of some other joint and complete the action. Like that good it is able, it is made to complete the task. Like it is very intelligent, I would say. And they also have something like an SDK and API kind of support available with Python 3.6 and 3.7 from Ubuntu, what do you say, Windows as well as Mac. Like all are supported. Like if anyone is interested in trying out these kind of approaches and just explore also. Like it is available. You can just go to their site and see. It is something like a decade old project. So maybe like you can think of something like an atlas, but like just trying to get something like an atlas in a year or like for your project is something like a just waste of time, because like I would say it's not completely possible, but like it is just beyond the expectation limits, because like it's that powerful. I'll just show you how it's. So this is something like the latest video that was released by Boston Dynamics in 2020. And currently they are no more separate unit. They are being like taken up by some other group. Now let's see something like, and they do, I think like all will be aware of something like a master slave kind of an architecture. So that kind of an activation is being used in Ocado technology. Ocado technology is something like a automation perspective. It is not complete, like because like whenever we say something like a robot, everyone has a feeling like it is something like a humanoid kind of a robot. This is not a humanoid kind of a robot. This is an actuation robot where small units like a swarm it works, and it will be it's something like a warehouse kind of an actuation in retail kind of a segment, something like Amazon, but not like Amazon. It's not that widely established, but it is a smaller one. But it's something like a group that they produce autonomous vehicles, and they support online grocery businesses, and they help to expand their consumers business. That's it basically. And I'll show you anyway the video. Okay, so I think like you must have seen how they have used a suction kind of an like suction pressure to automate complete the automation. This is something like a very new project from Samsung. This is ChefBot. Like we like in our tech also, like we thought of implementing something like this, but the problem is that like acceptance that we get from here when we say something like a chef kind of robot, it's better to do something else. That's the main thing that we see here from our project approval team and all. But this is now actually in market from Samsung Group. It's actually
normally when you kind of see yes, and it's lunchtime, you're gonna walk over to.
This is actually two manipulators, two sets of manipulators you can see over there. It's able to grasp, pick, and all, and they are using the Samsung kind of an application through which they are able to get the the personalization for the food that you want. Like you can even suggest the amount of salt to be added, the amount of butter to be added, and all. That's kind of automation that they are providing. But the problem is like currently it is very slow, because like it needs to be very precise, and like if it makes a mess, like it can get into another issue and all. So currently they have done it something like a very slow motion. You can see how slowly it is moving, and how cleanly it maintains the environment. So this kind of an actuation is currently available. This is something like a product level. I hope like everyone would have seen something like a dosha making robot, idli making robot, that everything from our own like Indian products. Like we have seen so many as a part of like projects. People have done so many things, but this is something like a product level from a company. It has been like announced in last few months, I would say.
Normally when you kind of see yes, and it's lunchtime, you're
Okay, so this is about ChefBot. Now let's go into some simulators. How, like we saw, like the front end thing, like how it looks, how beautiful it is. Everything is there, but the problem is that how you make it. Like before making anything and everything, you need to test it in some sort of simulators. So what are the actual simulators that we use for robotics is a big question. And in robotics especially, we say that you need to do something like a simulation, because like the cost of robotic motors and the components that we use, even the sensors, anything, like it costs too much. So the, like, because of which you can't just spare anything. Maybe like you are starting off with a budgeted project and you are getting into a failure for multiple times, you might run out of budget. So that can be an issue actually. It's not like normally everyone won't be that rich to bear the entire cost for just carelessness. So maybe initially we might not be. It's not like your fault, but it's like anyone can get into that trouble. So to avoid that, we have something like a simulator here. So simulators allows us to simulate the environment and get to see how we can do the actual required things in the right manner, and we can ensure whether our algorithms, the actual codes, everything are working, and then get it to the the actual scenario. So ROS is something like a robotic operating system, is something like the most widely used simulator kind. Like it's not just a simulator; it's something like a more than that. It's something like a Meta OS kind you can think of. It's supported in Ubuntu. Actually, they are trying to support extend to something like Windows also. But I prefer trying with Ubuntu only, because like if you are a beginner, there are so much of documentations and videos and tutorials that are available for ROS. And ROS plus Gazebo is the common the combination that we see. And about this is Carla. Carla is used for road kind of environment. If you see something like an autonomous driving kind of a project that you're taking up, then this is the best project, like a simulator that you have in market. All these environments,
the
everything.
Carla team is introducing a new online platform for the consistent evaluation of autonomous driving systems, the Carla Autonomous Driving Leaderboard. In this platform, agents will be tasked to safely drive from a set of starting points to target destinations, following route instructions and respecting traffic rules. AV systems will have to deal with hundreds of traffic scenarios inspired by the NHTSA pre-crash typology. The Carla Leaderboard offers 2 tracks of participation: the Sensors track, which lets users configure a sensor suite, choosing from a range of sensors, and the Map track, which, in addition to the previous sensors, offers access to an HD map. Systems submitted to the leaderboard will be evaluated according to their driving proficiency and the number of traffic infractions committed. Users can make the results public or opt to keep them private. Prepare your autonomous driving system to cope with challenging situations, such as changing lanes in a highway with dense traffic, taking the right exit on time, yielding to traffic and negotiating the right of way at roundabouts, and responding to sudden maneuvers performed by other vehicles.
So this is something like Carla. So Carla is something like an open source. Anyone can go to Google and search for Carla simulator. You have that free of cost. They provide you the environment, materials available, like they have already built. You can download them, implement even the cars, the colors, the kind of size, the pedestrian, everything, like the graphics, completely it's available. So you can just start on and try testing your the main thing, or the main core work that you are focusing on, and maybe later you are provided with something like submit the project, where the Carla team will be taking up this entire algorithm, and they will be getting you as a contributor to the society. So this is all about Carla. Carla provides so much of flexibility, when you start working with it, like it's even like ROS kind of integration is also available here. So there are so many other simulators are also that are available, like RoboDK, Microsoft Robotics Developer Studio, ROS Gazebo, LabVIEW, Metamoto, and programming. Like these are so many. Just a few I have kept it here. But RoboDK, let me just give you just brief introduction. RoboDK is nothing else but a robot-based simulator only. It is a paid version. It's very good simulator, but the problem is that it's something like a paid version. So like it might not be that easy for everyone to start off with RoboDK. It also have extension to ROS, Gazebo, and all. But if you're getting to something like a integration is also available there. But if you're getting into something like a research kind of an activity in your future, then RoboDK can be thought of. Then something into Microsoft Robotics Developer Studio. It's something from Microsoft family. So they provide support to some sort of like some selected robot configurations. It's something like a visual programming. I don't know whether everyone is into our Simulink where how we make that entire connection. It's something like a drag and drop kind of a scenario, right? And it also provides some kind of a coding aspect. Here also we have that drag and drop kind of an approach for getting the things done, or we can even use something like a CPP coding. So these are the ways in which you can get the robot loaded and get the things working in actually in Microsoft Robotics Developer Studio. But the problem is that it will only support Windows. Okay, like don't go and try with Ubuntu machine. Currently, support is only with like Windows machine. Coming on to ROS Gazebo, I have been like uttering for so much of time. Like it is one of the good standard you can take up and follow. ROS Gazebo is basically with Ubuntu machines. I would say like 60, like it's almost 10 versions. It's almost done. But the problem like with the latest version is that don't try to get with the latest version when you are just beginning with your track, because like documentation, everything will be very less for the latest versions. It would be best suggested to start off with currently it would be best to start off with 16.04 of Ubuntu. That is Ubuntu Kinetic version. There was also Kinetic version it is being called. So you can take up that because like just before, like 1 year ago, 14.04 Ubuntu, like its version got like lapsed for ROS. Like it won't be further supported by the ROS team. So like, it's not like once it is being stopped, it won't be there and like projects won't work. It's not like that, but it's something like they won't support any more further into it, because like they do have so many. Like after 16, for 18, 20, everything, like they have created they are creating the base thing. So like they require also some time to create the new things, right? So they are stopping like support for the older ones. That's it. Then LabVIEW, it's not something like purely for the robotics. It's something like what do you say? It's a graphical kind of a programming. You can see like whether the logic is working or not. It's from NI family. And then coming on to Metamoto is something like a car-like robot, something like Carla that we just saw. And here also we can select the car type that we want to add, and we can add sensors. The sensor families are available over there. You can drag and drop, you can place it wherever you want, and you can even contribute those data to the company, so that you can be a part of the contributors to the company's research in an indirect manner. Then programming is something like if you have a CAD model, you want to see how it works, like in a simple manner, how it actuates while moving to one side, how it looks, moving to other side, how it looks. So in that very minimal kind of an actuation, and seeing how whether the model is good to go ahead, you have something like programming simulator. Now let's see again, let's get back and see how things are happening around. This is not something like a single project like Sophia and all. This is something like a space where robots are being implemented. So car assembly, if you see like how it was being done years ago, like people used to carry, like 2-3 people will be carrying the door of a car, and they'll be getting it to the vehicle, and there will be 2-3 people sitting down, getting like they'll be ready to get that door, and they'll be tightening the screws, and there will be some other quality analyst coming in and see whether the angle is right, whether the fitting is correct, or else the persons have to, like, they have to get it again removed and realign it. If there is anything missing, that needs to be again removed and added, and the, like oiling of the parts, everything was done manually. So, but now this is not the scenario. Like, I have kept the video for Ford over here, but even the latest car, I would say Kia, like the most popular, right? Like everyone here would be knowing about Kia. So Kia also have this kind of an approach. They are also having this car assembly automation. How they are doing is, like, they do have in their workspace so much of robots implemented. The cars will be moving from one point to another through a conveyor. At the point of assembly, cars will be stopped for a particular slot of time where the robots will be getting the parts to it. They will be doing a part of the work at each point. Like a robot that is doing the welding part will be only doing the welding part. Instead of getting the robot to each and every point, robots will be kept as stationary, and the model will be moved from one point to another through the conveyor. So this is how the actuation happens in the car assembly part. So this was from the Ford family. So all these videos, like, I have taken from YouTube only. Like, if you want to go like watch more and all, like, you can go through it from YouTube. Then coming on to some other fields like disinfectant robots, like from the start of COVID, we have been hearing about in airports. There are so many UV-based disinfectant robots that are moving from this place to another place on a frequent interval, so that the entire area gets cleaned using UV rays. And this is one kind of a disinfectant that is being applied in airports. And the second one is something like Karmi robot that was implemented in Kalamassery Medical College. This was actually donated by a group under Mohanlal, our like actor. Like so this is actually for spraying the like sanitizers into the area, like through which it is moving. So you can see it's very evident that it is spraying the sanitizer in the way, like on the go it is moving. So this kind of robots are available for disinfectant purposes. Like, this is especially towards the COVID scenario, I would say. Then coming into something like a hospitality robots. Like earlier we had for hospitality completely, like, it was something like a manual job, because like we couldn't think of like a system sitting there for a hospitality kind of a thing. But now the scenario has changed. Like Pepper now, even Asimo from, like, that's a Saya robot from Asimo in Kalamassery. Like there are so many. Like Pepper and now is not like Indian. Like I would say, like, these are like getting into I would say the market like anything. They are multilingual. They can support and talk to people. They can give polite answers, right answers at the right time, help the people get the things done in a easier manner.
Check in your flight?
No.
I can help you with that.
Really? Cool. Nice. Oh, here it is.
Your check-in is successful.
Awesome.
Would you want to check in your luggage?
Luggage? Oh, yeah.
I will print the sticker. Please put it on your luggage and leave it just here.
Yes, sir. Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Hello, madam.
Hello there. It's not my day. My plane got delayed.
Oh, sorry to hear that. I will make it quick. Could you please show me your boarding pass?
Here it is.
A 25% discount on your next flight with us has been added to your account. We apologize for the inconvenience.
Okay, thank you.
Have a great day.
So this is about the hospitality kind of robots that we have. And then this is something like from Tata Group, like the same lab from where I'm working, TCS Rapid Labs. This is startup we have done for Vistara. So Vistara, this robot is actually deployed at Delhi airport, and it's something like done for not done during the COVID time and all. Like it was done a bit year ago. So it's like for interacting with the people, getting them the something like what we just saw for the Pepper robot. It's able to communicate with people and just give some guidances, get them motivated, just move here and there, give them some kind of a presence. Such kind of a robot it is, like just for engaging and hospitality. So this is RADA. Then next is something like our Indian government mission. Like this is done by ISRO Bangalore team, like Vyomitra robot. Like it is planned for Gaganyaan mission. Like it is a human figurine kind of a robot that they have planned for, and they have something like a silicone face skin, also that skin like appearance also they have planned for. Can see the arms are also that powerful. The first look is already released, and the mission we are planning, like fingers crossed. So next is something like a new field from the robotics, like it's a combination. Actually, it's a part of something like AI. AI has something like supervised learning, unsupervised learning. Then comes something like reinforcement learning. What is supervised learning? From the known sets, how to predict the result. Like if you know that A is for apple, B is for ball, then you can say that A and B, like again, if you see that A, you can say that A is for apple. That's kind of something like a supervised learning. There is some kind of a supervision or some kind of a learning done before the actual testing. But next is something like an unsupervised learning, where you have something like you are not aware about the scenario. You are given something like dash for apple. In that scenario, you have to go and learn like what could be the right thing, like right approach that can be actually be mapped to apple from the kind of possible scenarios. So like that, that is something like an unsupervised. There won't be any kind of a training beforehand. That is kind like data set won't be there. Then next is something like a reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning, you can think of a child. So child will be like trying to getting up. Like first time it fails. Next time we are not teaching it anything. Like it continues by itself. And from each failure, it tries to learn again and again. And like, but still it continues to fall. But maybe at last time, like through its each learning, it's one day it gets up and starts to walk. It's something like that. Reinforcement learning, it's a part of AI, but it's currently being extended to robotics. And even ROS to have a package that is available for research. And it got actually implemented last year and all. Like it was not there for ROS with reinforcement learning. It was actually getting into, but like it's now currently available. Even ROS kind of an extension is also available. So I'll show you like a RL agent, how that is reinforcement learning agent, how it plays a Super Mario game. I hope everyone is aware of the Super Mario game, like how we used to play in our childhood. But see, this is not played by any like a person manual. Like it's done by completely by the RL agent. How it successfully completes the game, you can just see here. I have given the link down just below. You can like if you want to learn about this kind of an application, because like getting reinforcement learning into robotics is actually something like a hot research area, I would say. So I'll show you the video. Sorry. And there is something like reinforcement learning. Inside reinforcement learning itself, we have something like a self-supervised learning. The system completely tries to learn by itself, where with minimal number of data, like system is able to complete and with minimal iterations. Like whenever we think of something like an AI learning and training kind of an approach, we think of something like the training time, the time we have to wait for the system to learn, how much time it's like, how much data we would be required and all. But there are currently some like self-supervised learning where like you have like with minimal kind of data, the system is able to learn and complete the task with minimal time. That's also actually an extension of supervised learning and reinforcement learning. These are actually areas where research is happening. Now let's tell you like about edge analytics. I know like I am almost done with the time. I'll just give you some like just a glimpse about edge analytics. Edge analytics actually it's like something like currently in like all the industries everywhere it's being implemented. Here the concept is nothing else but like computation won't happen at the center. Like if you have a product complete, like if you have a monitoring system in your college, the monitoring can be done from all the feeds taken in the principal room, and all the monitoring can be done there. It's one approach. But edge analytics, like it's a new approach where the all the automation, all the surveillance from the security desk will be done in that particular area. Like I'm just saying, like how it happens. Like for example, if you have a robot, all the computations from the sensors in the hand can be computed, and its decisions can be taken at the hand level. And it need not be taken to the head level and then take, or the main processor level and then take the responses. Maybe all the actions that are being taken can be summed up and communicated with the main server or the main processor at a regular interval, so that maybe after some time, the person or the developer or the like authorized person can come and view whether the system is working in the right manner or not. So this is the basic approach, where the basic idea about the edge analytics. This is actually mainly used to avoid the data being shared, data privacy, all those issues being considered. And so this is something like about edge analytics. It's also actually getting into the track. So these are few tools that are currently available for edge analytics area also. So if you're if you ask me which one to start with, something like IBM and Azure, like Microsoft Azure and all, I will like prefer, because like I have tried with more in those ones, but these are actually available. So if you're interested, you can try it out. So this is what I had summed up for the day. Now let's get into the discussion. So I'm just stopping my screen share.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a wonderful session. Participants, if you're having any queries, please put it in the chat, or you can directly unmute and ask. Ma'am, there is a question in the chat.
Yes, for drones, there are so many simulators available. Something like AR drone is specifically for parrot drones, or AR that is actually coming under one category. So similarly, Move It, Move It, not Move It. This ROS will support all. It is not for a specific kind of a thing. It is mainly for any kind of a robot structure, anything. It's something like a family that we have there. Then, to be specific, Arvis, not Arvis, like there's something else. For specifically for drones, like Mapcopter. Mapcopter is something like we have in drone space. But I would suggest, if you are very new and if you want some help also in between, it would be more better if you could start off with ROS, because like ROS is a very good community, like especially when you, because like while doing a project, we will get stuck at some point or the other. So you might require some actual help, which might not be sometimes be able to be extended from the person we are approaching to. So at that point of time, like our work should not get stuck, right? So this is a very good community. ROS, I would suggest you to take up with. what are the skills we need for doing a project in field of robotics. Actually, for doing a project in the field of robotics, it depends on the area you want to focus on. There can be a robotics engineer who is focusing on the software side of the robots. If you want to focus on manipulators alone, then you can focus on only the manipulation aspects. So just make sure that you are good at whatever you are into. Like if you are very good in mechanical, if your mechanical basics are strong, you can be a structural designer or a robot. There should be a person in robotics, any project from the structural who is enabling the structural aspect. So that is also very good. If you are not good at mechanical, don't worry. If you are good at electronics, that's also required. Like without sensors or without these algorithms, even these days, I don't see that there is a must that there should be a CS engineer in a robotics project. Even though we use AI and all in it, like even easy people are taking it up. Like so, there is nothing like you need to must learn and all. But basically, it would be better if you are good at some sort of programming. If you are not that strong at your mechanical skills, if you're okay to go with something like Python, CPP, and all, like I think you can manage if you have that interest. Basically, the first thing I would say is like the interest to learn things. That's it. In any field, that's a basic thing. Like your HOD is here, like he is he'll be like guiding you much better, I think. To do any project, it's not just a robotics project, even ECE project or mechanical project. The first thing you need is that passion to do that. And if you have some basic knowledge about any programming language, let it be CPP. If you are good at Java, if you can get that logic, like trust will follow. Because today it's something like it could be something like Python. Tomorrow it can be CPP. As the trends and technology changes with days, like we can't just say that if you learn this thing, you can survive. It's not like that. Every day you have to learn and make sure that you are updated in this environment, or else survival is something like very difficult. Okay, I think I answered it. Okay. Can a mechanical student learn Python easily to get into robotics field? It's actually, we are not like basically if I ask a question back, no one is born as a mechanical person or a electrical person. If you have that interest, you want to be something, if you have that urge, you can do that. There are so many tutorial websites and all available to start off and all, like it's possible. But the thing is that mechanical student, there is nothing like a limitation that a mechanical person can't do this thing. There is nothing like a limitation that this person can't do this kind of a work. If you have that skill, if you are good at doing a particular thing, no one would stop you. That's it. There is nothing like a limit in this world. That's what I say. There are so many if you're asking me whether some courses are available, yes, you can to start off with. There are so many sites also, even Geek for Geeks. Then there are something like tutorials point. There, if you even want to get some courses done, there are so many like LinkedIn courses for Udemy, Coursera, and all. That's very good. That's good. But if you are a mechanical engineer, I would prefer if your mechanical aspects are strong, that's even better. I won't prefer you to switch to completely a programming or a coding domain. If you are comfortable with your domain, even mechanical aspects are required for robotics projects. Like we can't build a robot without ensuring its mechanical aspects are done. Because if it is not stable from a structural aspect, it will collapse for sure, even if your code is good. So it's nothing like one is above the other, and no one can be a master in all the things, right? Like you might be learning so many things, but no one can be a master in each and everything. So it's something like that. So try to be better in whatever you are. Make sure that you do justice to your work. That's it. at TCS, are there robotics projects? Yes, there are so many robotics projects. But basically, in TCS, robotics projects happens as research, like mostly as research works. Very few are there which are extending to customer level, or internal researches are mostly happening. Like even the one I worked on, I told during earlier discussion that I was working in a warehouse robot. That was for actually Titan. So there, that is something like a research plus kind of a customer kind of a project. But there can be so many other things, like in the current lab where like it's actually something like a very rapid kind of an initiatives that we take up. So there, like it comes in and move out very fast. So there are robotics projects currently. Also, there are like two projects running in our lab itself. That is actually internal automation kind of a projects are currently happening. But I'm not saying like there is no projects in, like it's not like that. There are so many projects, but mostly from TCS perspective, like mostly it is towards internal only. Like because like people, I would say like everyone like most of the industry do have currently something like a research kind of an wing currently. That's the scenario that we see. Even ISRO was not focusing into robotics kind of initiatives earlier. Like now they do have their own wing at Bangalore. So those government projects won't come to like will stop like or reduce the counts that are coming to something like a private company. Like so that's a kind of situation that we face today. But it's not like everything will come to a stop. Like there are projects. Anything more?
Any more queries?
And how much will it take to learn for a mechanical student? Learning depends on passion basically, and the time you have. Like basically, you can think of you are getting something like a game. How fast you learn it, and you can think of learning a subject. Maybe like days it might take, right? Like, it's a fact. So it's basically something like a passion. But still, like it depends from person to person. Some might get that grip very fast of getting that that building that logic and all. But I can't completely say that you will be completely fluent in 1 month or just 3 weeks and all. It's actually foolish to say like that, because I don't know who you are, what is your caliber and all. It's completely based on your passion. Like if you are very good in like if you are that interested to learn Python, even if you don't have that basics, if you are able to think logic, like if you want something like a plus b, you have a and b, what should be done? A plus b, like get the inputs and get a plus b equal to, and get the outputs done. Like some kind of logic, if you are able to work it out, then I think you should be able to crack it easily. But I can't say that time specifically. Sorry, Anirudh, because like I don't know you personally. It might take weeks, it can be months, it can be even years, and there can be even scenarios like you start and sometimes like you stop in between and go with something else. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Adira, I am Muhammad Qasim, the Vice Chair of IEEE Kerala section.
Okay, sir. Nice to hear.
And I was listening to your session, and it's a very good session and informative also.
Okay.
And thank you for the session, and being the treasurer and joint secretary of Robotics and Automation Society, giving a talk is a very good idea. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And Yishai, I think Yishai is also here, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. No problem. And right now, as on today, the strength of Robotics and Automation Society is 952 with 897 student members, then 33 members, 11 senior members, and 11 graduate student members. So Robotics and Automation Society is growing. Only thing is we have to do something to increase the count of professional members, and that can be done by adding new members as well as retaining the existing members, or to be frank, we have to get some more members in arrears and inactive. Arrears means those who are members in 2020 not renewed for 2021, and inactive means members not renewed for 2020. So we have to take some initiative to increase the professional membership, and anyhow, Robotics and Automation Society is doing pretty well, and it stands in the 4th position in Kerala section. And for all the audience, today Kerala section reached the milestone of or crossed the milestone of 10,000 members. It's a big achievement, and I think if we continue the effort of in the real spirit, volunteering effort in the real spirit, we can go to higher levels, maybe 12,000, 13,000, or even 14,000 at the end of December. A very good talk by Adira. Thank you, Adira. And I really appreciate the team, Robotics and Automation Society, for its activities. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, I hope there are no more queries. I welcome Anjana for vote of thanks. Anjana, please.
Thank you, Arya. Am I audible?
Yes, Anjana, you are.
A warm good evening to all of you. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks speech and acknowledge the contribution of those who worked really hard to make this webinar happen. First and foremost, I would like to thank our special guest, Ms. Adira Krishnan, Treasurer and Joint Secretary, Robotics and Automation Society, Kerala Section, and System Engineer, TCS Rapid Labs, TCS Research and Innovation, who, despite in her busy schedule, found time to grace this occasion. Thank you, ma'am. Let me extend my sincere gratitude to Dr. Piyashri Mahadevan Pillai, Principal, Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology, for his support, vision, and commitment. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank our well-wisher, Dr. Krishna Kumar Kishore, Vice Principal and IEEE Student Branch Counselor of Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology. His able guidance has always encouraged us. I thank him for his kindness, interest, hospitality, and continued support. Thank you, sir. My heartfelt thanks to Dr. V. Balamurugan, HOD of ECE Department of Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology, for his kind support and encouragement. Thank you, sir. And I also thank HODs of various departments and the faculty members for their valuable contribution, guidance, and encouragement in all our efforts. I extend my special thanks to all IEEE Student Branch members for their initiative and interest. I would like to thank all the distinguished invitees present here accepting our invitation. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the participants for gracing this event. Once again, I thank you all. Stay home, stay safe.
Participants, please fill the feedback form. It is posted in the chat box.
The team of Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology, and I thank for organizing this event. And one point I want to highlight, and that is the current strength of Ahalya is 33, and please do something to increase the membership of your student branch also. And always better to have 50 plus student members. And the thing is, if you have 50 student members, the student student branch allotment will be $100. And if you are having 49, you will get only $50 as the allotment after submitting the plan of activities and the upcoming events in February. So that is the last date of submission of annual report. And when you submit, if the membership count as of December 2021 is 31 December 2021 is 50 or more, you will get $100 as allotment, and the rebate $2 per student. And Region 10 is telling that you will get $1 rebate for each society chapter student members. And I think this will also be coming in force. So please do something to have a membership development session at your college, and try to increase the student membership and involve the students in IEEE activities. And thank you, the management, the principal, and everyone. Yeah, for the IEEE SB activities, supporting the IEEE SB activities. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Definitely, we will do it, sir.
Yeah, welcome.
Our vice principal, Dr. Krishna Kumar Kishore, is there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know him personally. And
yeah. He is here, sir.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your support and kind words.
Participants, please fill the form. So can we wind up the session? Thank you all for joining. Stay home, stay safe.